So I decided to give this a go and do a little anime review because it feels like anime has really been popping recently, not gonna lie. Compared to the days of my youth when it wasn't that popular, at least not in the US, and everything was pretty much hit or miss, or you just had to stick to the big name. Naruto, Bleach, and what was the other one? One Piece, basically. But now it feels like we're actually getting some good content, and it's easy to access now that it's everywhere, like on Crunchyroll and that. So why not just dive into this basically new genre on my channel? To start, we're going to talk about Dr. Stone. Dr. Stone started winter season 2020. It's been very faithful to the manga. I watched the first season 2 years ago when it came out, and then I immediately got caught up with the manga, and I'm still reading it currently, and it's been super faithful to it. The animation, I think it could be a little smoother in some areas, but it's been pretty damn good, given the fact that it's not really like a typical fighting anime, so they're doing pretty good with that. It's exciting. You learn a lot. Like, one of the episodes recently had a character who's not as smart as the main character Senku, but he's got some brains on him, and he's learning quick. It's still short. I believe it's only 12 episodes this season, like it was the previous season, but hopefully we'll get more seasons as it goes, because it's been really exciting, and I know where the manga's gonna go, and it gets really exciting. Next on my list is Hori Mia. Now, it's a super cute, wholesome, romantic comedy little anime that I randomly found because some people on Twitter were recommending it. And the first thing that stuck out to me was just the animation is gorgeous on it. It is so beautiful just to look at, and then with the cute and wholesome storyline behind it, it's like, okay, yeah, I like it. It makes you feel better. It's a very feel-good type of anime, and I feel like we need more of this. It's very straight to the point in terms of romance. So many romance animes get dragged out for the full season until finally someone confesses, or they kiss, or something, but this one, not. They get straight to the point, and then you're left just watching their lives go about, which I think is more entertaining than dragging relationships out for seasons upon seasons. So definitely highly recommend that. I believe it's on Funimation. Dr. Stone should also be on Funimation, and Crunchyroll. Hori Mia is probably on Crunchyroll too. Jujutsu Kaisen. Kaisen? I don't know how to say that. It started technically in fall of 2020, but I didn't know about it until recently, which is good because now I can binge through the entire season and not have to worry about spoilers or anything like that, because I believe it finished, or it's going to finish very soon. It's pretty fun. I'm only like a handful of episodes into it so far, and the one thing that sticks out to me is there's so many Naruto references. Like, there's 3 people, like 3 of the same age group, and that's 1 girl and 2 guys, and then their teacher is a guy who looks a lot like Kakashi, only instead of a face mask, he's got an eye mask, so it's the opposite. Instead of red eyes with a Sharingan, he's got blue eyes, total opposite, but still the white hair. And then, even the 3 main characters, they just remind me so much of Sakura, Naruto, and Sasuke, which is kind of hilarious. And even the main character's like, man, I wanted to do a Rasengan with my powers, which is just hilarious, because like, and I'm sure he mentions other references to other shonen mangas and animes, but I didn't get them. The only one I understood was the Rasengan. I was just like, hey, I like that reference. But it's super fun. It's like a mix of Naruto with kind of Mob Psycho 100, which also highly recommend Mob Psycho 100. Very fun and a very cool visual trip almost to go down. But definitely recommend that. That is on Crunchyroll, not on Funimation. Now time for the sad state of affairs with Promised Neverland Season 2. It's such a disappointment. I'm doing the first half of this video with no spoilers, but the second half I'll get into some spoiler territory. But Promised Neverland Season 2 has just been an utter disappointment to many in the community. It had such a great first season that got so many, including me, involved in recognizing the story for what it is, and then after the first season I just had to read the entire manga, and I was so happy with it. The ending was a little debated between the community, but I don't particularly care too much about it. I think it was fine. Not the best, not the worst, but it was fine. But what they're doing with Season 2 is just, in my mind, it's just horrible. It's horrible. I can't wait for 20 years down the line they remake it like they did with Full Metal Alchemist, assuming that they do, which I hope they do. And one of the main reasons is there's so much character development that's taken away, and there's so many big reveals that when they are revealed make no sense because there was no build-up, and they just don't feel like they're earned. Everything feels so rushed. So watch at your own peril, and please read the manga instead to get all that character development. Finally, Yasha Hime. Yasha Hime I actually dropped. I couldn't get more than a dozen episodes in, which was a bummer. It did start in fall 2020, unlike Hori Mia, Dr. Stone, and Promised Neverland. And it's just an utter disappointment. It's worse than Promised Neverland Season 2, because I dropped that. Promised Neverland Season 2, I'm still watching, because I know what they're doing, and I'll watch it. It's still somewhat enjoyable to a degree for me, but Yasha Hime, I just can't. It's so cringy. The characters are unbelievable to me. I don't understand it. I don't get what they were doing and why the writer did it like this. And yeah, they'll be like, oh, the real writer is involved, the one who did Inuyasha. No, I'm pretty sure, and I've read multiple times, that all she did was provide the character models of the 3 girls that are the daughters of the main characters in the previous Inuyasha. So I don't want to hear that this is her fault, because I don't think this is her fault. And I've read her manga, I've read all of Inuyasha, and I've read other stories that she's done, and this is not anything like she would have written. So I don't want to hear that as an excuse, and I don't want to hear COVID as an excuse for Promised Neverland or Yasha Hime, because Promised Neverland literally skipped a whole year. And they were probably going to do this storyline like this anyways to rush it, to try to finish it, because I don't think they thought they were going to get another season in general. And if they were pushed back because of COVID, then they had more time to work on it and make it right, but they didn't. They didn't want to make it faithful. That's clear. And that's not because they were delayed. It's just a bummer for both of animes that I had so much hope for. So much hope for going into the fall last year. Now, we've reached a point in the video where I'm going to start talking about spoilers, mostly for Promised Neverland and Yasha Hime, because of how disappointed I am. Jujutsu Kaisen, Hori Mia, and Dr. Stone, I won't mention any spoilers. They're pretty good, and there's not much I can talk about in terms of spoilers that would be beneficial to this video. They're just great shows. Go watch it. They're cute. Watch the storyline and be engulfed with it. But only proceed if you want to hear the thoughts on Promised Neverland and Yasha Hime that are spoiler bound. So Promised Neverland. The biggest thing with Promised Neverland Season 2, in the manga, they had this great arc. Actually, they had a couple of great arcs back to back, where all the main kids that escaped from the farm in Season 1 actually had some pretty decent character development, especially Emma. Emma became this badass character fit for shonen manga like she was, and it made a whole lot of sense. And I absolutely adored that Emma, that version of Emma who was so badass, so decisive, and just so straightforward. And even Ray had a lot more gumption, at least in a couple arcs afterwards, than he does in the anime. In the anime, Ray's been pretty much brought down a peg to just follows Emma wherever versus being his own person. At least in the manga, he was his own person, and he did play special roles in a lot of things. You just didn't see them all on script, which is fine, because the manga and the anime has always been about Emma, not Ray and Norman. They've just been there as well. And it makes a lot of sense with the way the manga did it between those 3 and the character developments. I adore it. Absolutely adore the 3 of them. But the anime, skipped all of that. It skipped, I believe it was 90 chapters. And I get why they're doing it. They're going to rush to the end. I don't even know if they're going to keep the end the same. We'll find out. They might just keep it all the same. They have 2 or 3 episodes left to wrap it all up, and I could see them still doing that. But there's so many characters in those 90 chapters that they missed over on that made the characters in the anime, the manga, what it was so special. There's build up to, spoiler, when Norman comes back. You go to this one place in the manga and you find a kid who's been experimented on, and you're like, huh, that's weird. And he keeps saying the same number over and over again, which is the number that's on Norman's neck. And I was like, wait a minute, isn't that Norman's number? So I had to go look it up, and yeah, it was. It was so is Norman not dead? Or was he experimented on like this kid was? But this kid was special because he didn't die, and everyone else has been dying who's been experimented on. So obviously, if Norman's alive, then they can cure him. That made sense immediately, and that was presented within the first arc after they get out, or about the second arc probably, depending on how you want to think about it. But that made sense. That brought the hype up. That made me happy. That made me understand why they kept putting Norman in all the freaking front pictures of everything on the covers of all the manga, because it made sense. They were letting you lay it out. They were letting you figure it out with their layout, and it helped with the build-up, because you're like, oh my god, is he alive? Oh my god, what if he died after that? Type of thing. So there was a lot more guessing going on, versus within 5 episodes, you get him back in the anime. 5 freaking episodes. And yeah, they did a time skip of a year and a half, but 5 episodes is ridiculous. If they were going to do this season, originally they should have done it where they brought him back at the end of season 2 or the beginning of a season 3 to make it have impact and make people want to come back to watch. It doesn't make sense the way they've done it like this. It's just too quick and there's no payoff to it whatsoever for the people watching. And I say that as an anime only because even from an anime only standpoint, why would you have this biggest reveal when the main point of his death was pretty much the climax of the first season, and you just bring it back when it's nonchalant, basically. It was like, oh yeah, he's back. Oh, yay. It was so disappointing, to say the least. And there's so many characters. There's so many bad characters. There's so many villains that are not in here anymore, which, you know, any good story needs a good villain. And there were plenty of great villains in the manga, but they've all been practically written out. So the only villains left are just the arguments between the kids. And that just doesn't make it as appealing to watch, because they're just kids. It doesn't really matter to me. At least when you had other villains, you knew that, oh my god, yeah, they're still fighting other things. Not just each other with their own ideals. It's just sad. It's still enjoyable, like I said, more than Yasha Hime, but it's what it could have been, or the original story they could have given it. It's also rushed. Hey, Yasha Hime, the reason why I'm so upset with it. First of all, Rin and Sesshomaru got together. I don't know if you've watched the Inuyasha, but in the original, at most, Rin was 13. At most. We're pretty sure she was 12 or 11, okay? Then she gets left at the end at the village with the humans, and Sesshomaru goes away. But he keeps showing up to give her presents. Fine. Whatever. Totally fine. This is after half a year of spending time with each other. I get it. He liked her. Be nice. But then, what happens is Kagome's gone for 3 years, and then she comes back. And when she comes back, she's an adult. So 3 years later... What? If Rin was 13, 3 years later, she's 16? Okay. But then they both, Kagome and Rin, have kids at the same time. And considering it's supposed to be 14 years after that, and then it happened pretty quickly, there's no birth control in the medieval age. So I'm pretty sure it happened pretty quickly as long as she got with Inuyasha pretty quickly. That means that Rin had to get pregnant around 16 or 17. At the most, at the oldest. If she was 11, that means she was 14. Or 15. And that's just like, I get it's feudal era, yeah, but this isn't at all what a feudal era thing would have been like. You don't have a guy who travels with a little girl for about 6 months and dotes on her the whole time and waits till she grows up and then marries her. Usually, they would have had prearranged marriages. Not this, at least to my knowledge. It's just, and it's not even, like, I just can't. I can't. Why did they... I know so many people shipped them. I get it. Whatever. Fine. But why did they have to make it canon? It's just so creepy. And then the two main characters are their twin daughters? Like, are you kidding me? I don't care about Sesshomaru. The reason why Inuyasha was good is because it's called Inuyasha, and Inuyasha was the main focus, and everyone loved him. Sesshomaru, yeah, he's hot. Yeah, he's a great character. But he doesn't have the character and the personality to drive it as a main character. And honestly, neither do his daughters. Because Towa, the girl who went to the modern era, she's boring as hell and stupid as hell. And then Setsuna, she's definitely cooler, she's definitely smarter, but she just doesn't do anything. She's all like Sesshomaru, where she just doesn't say anything. She's just a pretty face that's smart sometimes. And the only saving grace that I think in the show is Moro, which is Inuyasha and Kagome's daughter, but she gets completely overlooked in so many ways. Like, let's be honest, Towa took her modern-day family from her that she only met once, and Setsuna lived with Kagome and Inuyasha's friends, the Demon Slayers and all of them. So they literally took her family's best friends and her actual family away from her so that she could live alone and get sold off as a slave to some stupid bounty hunters because her mentor was an idiot or something. Like, the amount of inconsistencies and stupidity is just insane. Like, she was given to Koga, the wolf tribe. Why the hell would Koga let any of this happen? Koga loved Kagome, and he let this happen to her daughter? It's just a disgrace. A total disgrace that this is how they've treated her and how they've treated just the entire story. I can't. And I've been keeping up with it on Twitter even though I dropped it, so every week I see a breakdown and I see certain scenes that were important to the story. And it's still, they have like 2 episodes left or 3 episodes left or something at the time I'm recording this. And they still are hardly scratching the surface. Hardly scratching the surface of the story. And if you do see any of the OG characters, it's like for 10 seconds, and they don't even help move the plot along, because they, for some reason, don't want to say anything. They don't want to tell you, oh yeah, your family, this is what happened. Oh yeah, we knew each other. Oh yeah, let's actually be nice or something. And the other thing that I was just thinking about before I recorded this is how unrealistic it is. Like, in Inuyasha was a half-demon. And he had a lot of struggle with this. Like, so much struggle with this. And you're telling me within the 50 years since he was struggling with it to when these kids are growing up that suddenly people don't look down on them? Because Towa and Setsuna are practically accepted by all the humans. So is Moroa, and she's a quarter demon. Like, what happened to all the prejudices? This is the feudal era. They wouldn't disappear like that. At all. It makes no sense. And then, to add to it, Inuyasha was clearly depressed for a lot of his life because of all the crap he went through for being a half-demon. So why isn't Moroa, a 14-year-old girl, not at all somewhat depressed with her situation when she didn't even have a family or friends to help her through anything? At least Towa and Setsuna had people to help her grow up. Hell, Towa didn't even know she was half a demon. So she had a pretty nice life growing up, aside from not knowing her dad or her mom. But she had people who cared about her. So why is Moroa so happy-go-lucky and perfect? Because that was not at all Inuyasha. And Kagome was quite open with her emotions, and so is Moroa, but she doesn't show any of the emotions that actually matter towards her character and towards her situation. And I just... It's so unrealistic. If they were dealing with it, if they actually showed, oh my god, yeah, I am pretty sad that, you know, I was sold off by my mentor and I don't have a family, but you guys have family and I don't. Like, if they had talked about that more, then it'd be more interesting. But no, they're just glazing over it all like, huh, everything's fine. Everything's happy. Don't worry about it. Don't think too hard. And I'm so done with that. I'm so done with how serious Inuyasha took itself and how unserious Yasha Hime. But yeah, that's gonna have to do it for this rant of a video. Proceed with caution if you're watching Season 2 Promised Neverland or Yasha Hime, please. But jump right in Dr. Stone, Hori Mia, and June. Those are really great. I'll be doing a separate video about anime coming up in spring 2021 that I'm excited for. And there's a lot. Can't wait to jump into those. Thank you guys for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Till then, bye, guys.